A lot of people told us that the first year of marriage tends to be the hardest. For couples who've endured a long-distance relationship like us, this statement holds a certain truth. Does this relate to your experience? Our first hurdle as a couple came when we transitioned from long-distance dating to married life. When we lived miles apart, the time we spent together felt special and cherished. We'd see each other for about 2 weeks every 3 months or so. And these meetups felt like vacation getaways. Whether I was visiting Japan or she was coming to America, our days were packed with exciting outings and adventure. We even did so much sightseeing in Japan that my wife had never even done on her own. We had many trips planned, exploring different parts of Japan. And when we were in America, we often attended sporting events and indulged in high-end restaurants that we wouldn't normally in our everyday lives. It was all about fun and adventure. But when we entered into marriage, spending time together stopped being an extraordinary event and became the default mode. We blended each other into our daily routines, sharing meals together, simply relaxing, and attending family gatherings together. Since she moved from Tokyo to Nebraska, I even became her personal chauffeur. This transition led to unconscious expectations for each other. Expectations related to sharing responsibilities, demonstrating respect, compromising, showing affection, and committing to the partnership. Some of these expectations were entirely reasonable and necessary, while others were unrealistic and in some cases, challenging to grasp. One unrealistic expectation that remained from our long-distance dating days was the need to spend every moment together when we could. This included things like hanging out with the same friend groups and watching the same TV programs. I even tried to drag her to my high-intensity interval training workouts. Despite her suffering from asthma, my constant insistence led her to finally give it a shot. I told her, "Come on, babe, you never leave the gym feeling bad." But halfway through the workout, she struggled to catch her breath and had to sit down for the rest of the class. She definitely left the gym feeling bad. I felt guilty for pressuring her into something that didn't align with her health conditions. So you think I would have learned my lesson, but shortly after this, I signed us up for an event called Trek Up the Tower. I downplayed it as a simple stair climb with a nice view at the finish line, but in reality, it was an intense 40-floor, 870-step trek. When it was our turn to start, my competitive instincts kicked in, and I took off, saying, "See you at the top!" I was so proud of my 8-minute finish when I reached the top. But after 45 minutes, I became concerned when she hadn't caught up with me. When she finally reached the summit, panting and scowling, I realized that I had made it seem like a walk in the park when I signed us up for the event. Her asthma had caught up with her again. We took a photo to commemorate the day, but it wasn't the most enjoyable thing that we could share together. And I had finally learned my lesson. Another unrealistic expectation I personally had was feeling responsible for her happiness. I mistakenly believed that I could single-handedly make her happy. This led to arguments early on in marriage. I was trying different things to show care in my own ways and pressing her on why I could not make her happy. I took it personally because I thought I had brought her to Nebraska just to be with me, and I wanted to have total influence on her happiness. However, she told me moving to Nebraska was her choice and not something forced upon her. This perspective shift was exactly what I needed at the time. This helped me be available mentally so I could support her in this huge transition. We also dealt with unspoken expectation rooted in family tradition, past relationships, life experiences, and values. Recognizing and openly discussing these unspoken expectations was crucial, as these are things that could silently destroy marriage. As an international couple, we faced huge differences in these unspoken expectations due to our vastly distinct family traditions and how we were raised. Additionally, merging two lifestyles with completely different daily routines proved challenging. Our diverse cooking styles was definitely one of them. I used every tool in the kitchen. I have a gadget for everything, while she preferred to use as few cooking tools as possible. I was also raised in a big family where the person who cooks doesn't have to clean, so that was my expectation going into marriage. The way she was raised was completely different, and she did not understand why there was a pile of dishes at the end of every meal. So, she felt a little slighted. This discrepancy caused resentment until we found middle ground through open communication. Before marriage, I used to hit the gym twice a day. This was another thing in my daily routine that I needed to adjust to accommodate our new life together. My wife needed me at home with her instead of the multiple trips to the gym that I was used to. On top of that, she couldn't work because of the visa process in the States, and she wanted my companionship. So, I understood the need and quickly compromised. This all being said, the biggest dynamic shift happened in our relationship when my wife moved from Tokyo to the USA. She was used to a completely independent lifestyle. She relied on me both physically and mentally, which was a big shift for both of us. It took nearly a year for her to develop her own new hobbies and friends outside of my circle. If you're a transplant to where your significant other is from, you can probably relate to this. It takes time to find someone you feel comfortable talking with and venting to in a new place. This was essential to a happy, healthy relationship. They say opposites attract, and in our case, that was definitely true. I'm free-spirited and spontaneous, while she's cautious and intentional. We were so amazed by each other's personalities that we felt like that's exactly what we were missing and believed that it would complete us. However, our different personalities and approaches began to clash. It became more apparent when we moved in together and were out of the long-distance relationship phase. For example, she would try to set a lot of house rules that I didn't keep up with. In other cases, I would make last-minute plans to go out with friends, which left her feeling unprepared and anxious. Argument after argument, we eventually realized that we are two completely different people, and you cannot change the other person. We somehow had this illusion of us completing each other and becoming one, but that was not the case. We are two people who not complete each other, but complement each other. Realizing that, we needed to communicate more than ever to make life comfortable for the both of us. We needed to ask questions like, why is that important to you? And what triggers your anxiety? We did this to understand where the other person is coming from and see things from their point of view. I can say, still to this day, we discuss almost everything in detail to help build a stronger partnership. These differences will always be there, and the discussion process is a lifelong project. But remember, when you choose to accommodate and complement each other instead of trying to complete one another, shared joy is double the joy, and shared sorrow is half the sorrow. So, is the first year of marriage the toughest? Celebrating our 7-year anniversary this year, I would still say that the first year tested us the most. It was undeniably difficult, but our commitment to communicate was strengthened during that time. This has always been the base our relationship is built on, and it has helped us overcome the majority of challenges that have come our way. At the end of the day, you choose to be together through thick and thin, and that is the beauty of having a life partner. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, kindly consider giving a thumbs up, leaving a comment, subscribing to my channel, and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future stories.